All right, I'm going to go through the labor market. Now remember that this table that we have for the labor market, the capital market works exactly the same way. Okay, instead of workers, we have machines. And instead of wage, for the marginal factor cost, we have daily rent. So I am not going to go through a whole table with machines or capital equipment. It functions in exactly the same way. Instead of workers, it's machines, and instead of wage, the marginal factor cost is daily rent. All right, you should be familiar with this table. All right, we got the total number of workers and how much the total product would be. I'm putting this word output in here. It's a term that AP likes to throw in, of course, to confuse you. That's just another name for total product. And then the marginal product, you have to know, just for everything that we do, that microeconomics is about marginal analysis. Marginal product is the difference between these total products. So I did the math for you. The difference between 10 and 22 is 12, 22 and 31 is 9, etc. Make sure you know how to do that in case I give you a table and you need to fill something in. The price is 10. We have perfectly competitive pricing, so the price just remains the same all the way through. And then the marginal revenue product, this is the super mega important one. That is the worth or value of the employee. That's how much money the individual employee is bringing in. Also keep in mind, we're assuming that all of these workers are the same identical skill level. So it's not as though the second worker is better than the first worker. It's just the system sets up so that the second worker produces more. And then the diminishing marginal returns is when marginal product starts to decrease. So after the second worker, diminishing marginal return sets in. We enjoy some specialization of workers here. So it's not always after the third worker, be careful. Okay, could be a second, could be wherever marginal product starts to decrease. Now if marginal product goes back up again, that's too late. Diminishing marginal returns is once the first time that it starts to decrease. So the marginal revenue product, this is the value of the employees. Well, here's the wage. We hire to the point where marginal revenue product equals marginal factor cost. This sixth worker is only bringing in $20. They're costing me $30. I did not hire them. It's possible I could hire them if the price went up to $15, or if for whatever reason they became more productive, but under current circumstances, they are not. So hiring for max profit, where MRP equals MFC, which in this case would be the fifth worker. Let's say the workers went on strike and demanded a $50 wage. Well, what's the negative? They're gonna hire one less worker, right? The fifth worker would get let go, and then let's say it was $60, then they would only hire 3 workers. All right, so let's take a look at the graphs. Make sure you're familiar with this and make sure you know how to go from just these 2 rows to filling in marginal product and marginal revenue product. Obviously, I have to give you the price and the wage. Okay, we'll take a look at the graphs, which hopefully we're pretty familiar with. A little bit of glare on the whiteboard. All right, so I've got the side-by-side graphs. I've got the labor market, right? This is everybody, and I put USA in there just so that you know that this is everybody. And this is where the wage is determined, a perfectly competitive labor market. Everybody gets paid the same. Everybody has the same skills. This is typically for an unskilled labor force. And then we have the firm. So I put Nick's t-shirts here, it doesn't matter. Using the same wage that I had in the chart. The wage is determined over here, always. The wage will not change no matter what happens to marginal revenue product here. The wage is determined here. And it carries over all the way through no matter what the quantity over here. So things that could impact supply of labor, demand for labor, immigration, people retiring, more young people entering the labor force. Now we currently have a problem with people leaving the labor force, so supply of labor is decreasing, pushing the wage up. Demand for labor tends to follow economic cycles. So if I say the economy's doing great, that means that firms are going to be hiring. And there's also new firms that come in when the economy's doing well. The opposite happens, the demand for labor, when there's a recession. Firms go out of business, right? Firms cut back on their hiring, et cetera. So wage is determined here, okay? Once that's determined, that's my marginal factor cost throughout. Here's my marginal revenue product of labor, which is equal to my demand for labor, and my hiring for max profit is where MRP equals MFC, okay, which is right here, which would be 5 workers. Now, the number of workers we hire can change if the marginal revenue product changes. So the marginal revenue product can change if I've got marginal product times price. Well, if either of these two things changes, the marginal revenue product can change. And what'll happen? I'll use a different color here. We'll have a new marginal revenue product curve here, and we'll hire more workers, let's say 7 workers, because our demand for labor for the firm has increased. But notice, the wage has not increased. The wage stays the same, all right? 2 ways to increase marginal revenue product, either increase marginal product or the price. Price can increase, I think I'm running out of whiteboard space here. Price can increase through the demand for the good, right? More demand for the good drive the price up. Marginal product can change through productivity issues. So more technology, better training, incentives. You can understand why firms want to train people, get new technology, and why they provide incentives. They can get more money without increasing the wage. Okay. All right, so those are things that we've talked about before. I want to talk about the trick question real quickly. And that involves if there's a change in the demand for labor in the labor market. So if there's an increase in the demand for labor here, the economy is in expansion, everything's going great, well, what's going to happen? Well, the wage is going to increase. Well, if the wage increases, demand for labor is increasing, right? More people are getting hired. The question is going to ask, is the firm going to hire more people? Your natural response would be to say yes, but the answer is no, because look at the intersection. Because the wage has gone up, they're going to hire fewer people, okay? And the reason for that is there's new firms that are hiring people, right? And this firm is, for the moment, not willing to, pay that many people until they're able to. They're going to hire fewer people. So that's the trick question, and it's the opposite case with a decrease in demand for labor, right? If there's a decrease in demand for labor in society, firms are going out of business, et cetera, the wage decreases. Well, what happens over here? This firm hires more workers. So that's a trick question that I'm likely to ask. It's not a trick question if I'm telling you the answer in advance, okay? All right, that's the labor market real quickly. Please begin studying before, Wednesday night, okay? Watch me on double speed. I wouldn't want to listen to me on double speed. I don't even like listening to me on regular speed. But the videos help you, and I hope they do. I'm going to make some more, but not tonight. I'm getting tired, so got to get ready for tomorrow.